Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Ladies and gentlemen, fillies and gentlecolts, dragons of all ages, and everyone else, welcome to Pondering Pony. I'm your host, John, and with me I have my co-host. Enough chit-chat, time is candy. Jay.
uh, Indeed.
Yes. Yes, well, welcome to our bonus episode for Pondering Pony, where we're going to be finishing up season 2 of Friendship is Magic by giving our overall thoughts. Welcome, Patreons, or if you're on the YouTube, welcome. Yeah, we made it through another season of the
Yeah.
show. Yes.
One more down. 7 more to go.
Yeah, 7 more to go. The next one should go by much faster, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Is season 3 the only short season of the bunch?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we'll talk about that, of course, next
Yeah.
time around.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, just like the last time, we're just going over some thoughts, expectations, different things. I don't remember what we did last time,
No, I
but
don't either. I should have written those out.
yeah, sure. But like, hey, at least I got like little points here. But yeah, do you remember what your thoughts or maybe expectations were going into this season? If you can think that far back.
Yeah, I don't know if I can remember exactly. I mean, I don't know that I had much specifically. I think there's certain characters or points that I expected to be addressed that some maybe were and some maybe weren't. We haven't seen like Trixie. Zakara's basically disappeared, though she does show up every once in a while.
Yeah, that's Sakura for you. She makes like one appearance and then gets a mention. We did get we forgot to mention this, but we did get like a shout out to Trixie in the newspaper
Yeah,
episode. Um, so they know that we like Trixie enough to mention it, or maybe they're just saying that. But yeah. So what are your thoughts about the season overall then?
yeah. It's a season. I don't know. I have the show is just kind of a thing. I don't know that I can think of the seasons as like separate units in that way
Mm,
necessarily. I think partially because just since we're watching it through, we're the show when it was coming out, they I assume they had breaks between the seasons,
yeah, they had a few months break in between each
uh,
season, so
so they're a little
there
bit
was
more separate.
yeah. We're not gonna get the experience of like having hype for a new season coming out, or the unknown of like, are we gonna get a new season or not?
Uh huh.
Was the season greenlit? Anything like that. So I guess that's the downside of having everything
Yep.
all at once, is that you know how much you have, where it's gonna end, and then because of that, you might not pay attention to every little detail because you know you're just gonna get so much more.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, I will. Like you said, oh, we don't get to experience the hype of waiting for the new season. I don't think that I would be experiencing the hype of waiting for a new season if we were waiting for a new season.
sure, yeah.
I'm not necessarily on the edge of my seat for what happens next episode. I don't dislike the show. I would say thus far it is a solid 3 out of 5 stars for me.
But you wouldn't call it your favorite show, or you would
No,
go out
yeah,
of your way to watch more.
yeah. If we were not watching this for the podcast, and I've said this before, if we weren't watching this for the podcast, I don't think I would still be watching it at this point. Though you never know. I did watch way too much of the Barbie stuff, the Dreamhouse Adventures, and then It Takes Two. That's one though. I think for some reason that just the structure of it and the characters in it and the way it sort of approached things was maybe a little bit more up my alley.
Hmm. While it wasn't very up my alley
Yeah,
while watching
yeah,
it, they are similar in age demographic and sometimes tell the same plot.
yeah.
I
I
wasn't
guess,
into Dreamhouse.
yeah.
I
Part
mean,
of it
Dreamhouse
is, I think,
Adventure.
yeah, Dreamhouse Adventure. I don't know why, because I called it ambivalent watching. I ambivalent watched a significant portion of those before we had even covered them. Um,
Mm,
and then yeah, I don't even. This was several years ago, so I don't remember. I ambivalent watched some of It Takes Two. This is the type of show. My Little Pony isn't the type of show that I would be able to ambivalent watch. I don't think, because it is better, which sometimes makes it more difficult to like it's yeah.
sure,
There's something about
sure.
Dreamhouse Adventures where I can have it on my playing on my phone while I make lunch, and I don't feel like I'm having an incorrect experience of it.
Do you think you could like compare season one to season two?
I
Like,
mean, there have definitely been changes.
mm,
I have at this point gotten used to the newer animation style, so I don't notice that, but I did notice the jump in quality between season one and season two back when we were doing those first episodes.
yeah,
Um,
there were much more facial and expressiveness with the animation, whereas season one was tamer,
uh
I
huh.
suppose.
Yeah, and I'm we're starting to see more of the fandom elements, just not super strong yet, but they are popping up here.
Yeah, you could see those influence in that there's more references to films. We had like a big Lebowski Easter egg. We had just the finale itself, it being more epic. We're given a battle scene.
Yeah,
Some think it's an allusion to the Matrix. Um,
I
they
mean, it
they they
has,
know
yeah,
they are aware of like Disney fans, so they're like, okay, we'll add like Disney elements to the finale as well. So you got the Little Mermaid and Sleeping Beauty.
and I mean, we were getting a lot of that kind of stuff in the first season, but it does feel like there's the tone of it has shifted slightly, and that might also just be like changes in leadership that are happening. There's a slightly different creative direction. Who takes over sort of show running going forward?
Yeah, I mean, show running is. I wouldn't exactly say there was a showrunner for the series, not like
Uh-huh.
a traditional series. Traditional series, you have the showrunner who's in charge of everything, and you have a writer's room full of like staff writers who write every episode. Writing is done a little differently for this series
Okay.
because it's not it's made to sell toys, and so that's its focus. So all of our writers for this show are all freelance writers, so
Okay.
they will come and go by the demand of whoever's in charge. So Lauren, she was in charge, so she was the executive producer, somewhat
Uh-huh.
showrunner for the first season, and she brought in all of her friends that she had worked in before, all the freelance writers there, and they didn't have a writer's room. The process was, and this is like from interviews that I
Uh-huh.
listened to a few years ago. Um, they would hold a writer summit at the beginning of the season for like 1 or 2 days. The writers would like throw out different ideas and premises.
Uh-huh.
They'd gather all that and give that to the story editor. So the story editor, you could kind of say it's a showrunner. They're the one in charge of like continuity and like putting together the pieces. So they would take the ideas, come up with like a structure or like an idea for an episode, and then they'd go to a writer and say, "All right, you're doing this episode. You're writing that episode." The writers, they're not the one who says, "Can I do this episode?" It was just they were handed one,
Uh-huh.
and then there might be like a meeting between the writer, the story editor, and then one third person who acts as like a tiebreaker in case a
Okay.
decision can be met. And the first season, that is usually Lauren. Later on, it'd be like some third random writer. Um, and that's why there's less continuity, quote unquote, continuity or through line throughout the show. It's just each writer handles a different story. Things
Uh-huh.
might not always pass on to the next one, and yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
So
I
who?
didn't know this, of course, while I was watching the show, so I'm like,
Yeah.
man, why can't we have more of these grand scale storylines? And the answer was because that's not how it worked.
Yeah. Do we know who? What was it? One story editor for the whole show? Were there different story editors coming and going? Was it different
Yes, so
per season?
the story editor for the first two seasons was Rob Renzetti.
Okay.
I mentioned him our last
Yeah.
season review.
I
I
we've heard that name, I think.
Yes, it's written down right here. So
Oh,
he was the story editor for these first two seasons, and he left at
yes.
the end of this season, along with Lauren Faust. So moving forward, at least for seasons three, I know Megan McCarthy, one of the writers of the show,
Yeah.
would take over as the story editor, and they did try to continue with the writing summit, but I think at some point they couldn't maintain it, and so it
Uh-huh.
was, yeah, it's complicated. um I don't know much after that what happens, like within season 4 or 5. Maybe they continue to do the writing summit, but we did get multiple story editors throughout the year, and I will name them out once
Okay.
we uh get through those times. But yes, for now, Robin Zetti is our story editor for this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious who's sort of calling the shots now that Lauren Faust isn't executive or like isn't hands-on with everything. Um yeah, no, I'm curious if I will be able to detect sort of those shifts in creative vision, or if that's, I feel like with TV shows, I sometimes have a hard time catching on to that because there is like a continuity of characters and of general
Mhm.
style.
I was able to notice it in the more later seasons when
Uh-huh.
it wasn't only just changing of story editors, but it was also the changing of writers,
Okay.
where right new writers have a hard time adapting into this show because there's so again, once you're getting to season like 6 or 7, there's so much established episodes, and they're not expected to watch every episode or read every script because
Uh-huh.
that's a hard task. So they're given like 3 episodes for each character, and that's what they have to work with. And a lot of times they will play it safe for those writers, and so sometimes those are like the more underwhelming ones. At least in my humble
Uh-huh.
opinion.
Uh, yeah. I guess getting into that, it was interesting. So I was looking up titles for episodes today, and I happened to see on IMDb that I they have like the star ratings and like which show is highest rated and which show is lowest rated. And so I was looking through that just out of curiosity. I know a lot of people put a lot of importance on IMDb scores. I'm a little bit less invested in that whole side of things. But I did
Sure.
notice that season 2 is the highest rated of the seasons.
Another thing to point out is that less people started using IMDb the longer the show went out, so there's
Yeah.
less of a ratio for the rating. Um, I I look at season two, and season two just came out at the golden age of the fandom. That's that's when like a lot of the staple of what everybody thinks of happens. It's from this year, this season, this era.
Uh-huh.
Um, all right. What's to say? We have the first major BronyCon that happens this year, where
Okay.
we get actual members of the show coming. So you got Lauren Faust showed up to one. John Delancey, he started his Brony documentary. They started filming this year. That infamous one. Um, we don't want to get into that right now because who knows what. Anyway,
When does
um,
that come out?
it comes out next year. It was it was leaked early, and
Okay.
that became problematic because they couldn't pay everyone because it was based on residuals, and
Uh-huh.
since it was leaked, they're not buying it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
That surprises me that it was this early on in the show.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. um, because I was around 2015, so at this point it was like older around. But yeah, season two, like that was the height of the
Uh-huh.
fandom in the internet culture. That's when it became newsworthy. That's when everybody knew. This was when after season two, our mutual friend, got into the show, and
Okay.
a few months after that, that's when I met you guys. So
Yeah.
he was fresh off of just getting into the show, and that was when he was the most prevalent and trying to get us in the show. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The fandom itself, at this point, was just going crazy with all the fan works. We were at the rising tides of like fan animation to getting like show quality, and that kind of started to influence things where the show would try to like step up some of their animation within the next couple seasons because they noticed, oh, these animators are getting really good. Maybe we should like try and step up a little bit to make sure it's like quality.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just wishful thinking, but that was one of the prevailing theories. Theories, man, theories. At this point, Fallout Equestria, the fanfic was written, and now we're getting like fan fiction to that fan fiction. Things
Okay.
are going nuts. Artwork reaches like a huge level, especially once Changeling come in. Now we're getting like, oh, we can do like more dark, creepy looking bug things and
Yeah.
expand our artwork with all these things. Yeah, no, it was a time. I really wish I was around at this time to experience it, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting hearing that it was like it wasn't quite as slow of a build as I was expecting it would have been. Because I don't really, I guess, yeah, that we're getting into the, I don't remember when I first heard about the show, but I guess it would have been around this time.
Yeah,
So that,
it,
that
it
does make,
was around this time when I was hearing about the show and like there
uh-huh.
were boy fans of ponies and I was like, what the heck is this? What is this nonsense? Um I had more thoughts, but I am not remembering. Yeah, this show comparing to the two seasons, going into this season, I think you could say that there was maybe less adventure and more slice of life.
I feel like there has always been sort of a mixture of the two. But yeah, this one we didn't have nearly as many like big fantasy adventure episodes. There weren't like Dragon Shy or yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that because it seems like it with the fandom it would be going the opposite direction, but it is instead this season at least. I what direction does that end up going in the rest of the show?
It goes back and forth.
Okay.
Goes back and forth. Yeah. Also, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Also, around this time period, this is when the relationship between Hasbro and the fandom were more in unison.
Okay.
Um, where they're like, okay, hey, we have like audience. We want them to buy our merch, and so they start advertising to them. Uh, the hub network where everything was airing was like acknowledging the fans. There was this commercial I sent you. I sent you the commercial at some point where
Okay. Yeah.
they named out bronies
Yeah.
specifically, which was cool. They were also like spending money in advertising, having billboards everywhere. Pinkie Pie got to appear in the Times Square Jumble
Yeah.
Tron one time, which that's a pricey advertisement right there. So they were
Yeah.
investing, but yeah, then after this season, kind of after the whole Derpygate quote unquote scandal, then things started to get a little rocky. And then maybe those at Hasbro started looking closer at some of the fan content and being like, I don't know if we really want that. And so
Yeah.
um
No, I definitely can understand that just
yeah.
because of, I mean, yeah, the fandom encompasses a lot, but
Mhm.
as a company that is specifically making stuff for kids, like, yeah,
Sure.
they're a little bit more control is sometimes
And so
necessary.
2013 was a very rocky year for the business and the fandom
Okay.
because then they start throwing in cease and desists and
Okay.
um
Wow.
yeah, so that would like affect a lot of people, like Friendship is Witchcraft, so that stuff had to be taken down. um I'll mention more stuff in the next season review, but that's a little hint of the time period
Uh-huh.
where things are not meeting eye to eye. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, like, of these two seasons, which one would you say you prefer?
No,
Or
I don't know if I can answer that. Part of the interesting thing about talking through these things and looking at the IMDb scores is that, so where I grew up, basically the coldest it would ever get is like low 40s Fahrenheit. Basically the hottest it would ever get is like high 70s Fahrenheit. And so the conception of really cold and really hot, it's like 80 degrees, oh, that's really hot. And
yeah,
40 degrees, oh, that's really cold. And then now I live in a place where it's like in wintertime it could get into the negatives, and in summertime it can, though usually only like 1 or 2 days of the year, get up into like the hundreds. Um, so my experience of like really hot and really cold is now very different than when it was growing up, because it's like, oh, this range of temperatures. So for me it's like watching, seeing all of these comparisons, I'm like, most of the show for me has been like between a 2.5 out of 5 stars and a 3.5 out of 5 stars.
okay,
But it feels like for people who are like invested in the show, that difference is wider.
yes. Um, yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that, like, how important the show is to people is
Uh-huh.
that I didn't describe how the show affected the audience, where there's this common thread and story about the people who got into the show were like at the lowest point in their lives, essentially, where the show really helped them through a rut and really inspired them to like do things again, where people who grew up drawing gave it up, watched the show, got inspired again.
Uh-huh.
And it's it's such a heartwarming thing to hear those type of stories. It's like, oh yeah, good, you found something that you can make you appreciate things again. That's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. And like those were like the stories I enjoyed hearing. I call those I call those coming, we call those coming to pony stories.
Okay.
um, because of the parallels between, religion and other
Uh-huh.
stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience with the show
Uh-huh.
because I was just in for the fandom and just, you know. But yeah, others, a lot of people had that kind of connection.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you're really invested in the show and you're spending a lot of time thinking about it, then like the highs and lows are a little bit more noticeable. Versus for me, this
Yeah.
is like, I'm not super invested in this show. Um, I'm watching a lot of other media. I'm seeing a lot of other like highs and lows. So when people are like, or I guess I'm not even seeing that. I'm hearing it. through you and seeing it through the ratings of like, oh yeah, this episode is fans hate this episode, and I'm like, this episode, it's like the same as the other episodes. But
Mm,
we have gotten into sort of like specifics of that, and even just like the way that one or two opinions from like tastemakers within the fandom can lead to an episode being sort of received in a very different way. Where it's like
yeah.
I think you mentioned that for like the putting your hoof down. I think that's the title of the episode.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the theories about why that one was as mixed bag as
Oh,
some would say. And I mean, it's just an okay episode at the end of the day. That's how I feel. I don't think it's extremely negative or extremely great, but it could just be a thing where the writing style just didn't work for those people,
uh-huh.
and I can somewhat agree to some degree about the writing style.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, again for me it's just like because my experience of the show is like 2.5 to 3.5 out of 5 stars consistently, that
mm,
I'm always a little bit confused as to like, but why this episode?
sure.
So it's interesting to look at that. But yeah, I have a very outside perspective on this. Whereas opposed if I was doing my like, I don't know, I guess we were just talking about Matrix. Like my Matrix rankings are like up and down. Whereas someone who isn't super invested in the Matrix might be, well, why do you like this thing and dislike this thing? They're like the same. And it's like, no. Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's a good one.
That's
a
a good
lot of
one.
a
Yeah.
lot of people who aren't invested in it are like, well, they're all just kind of the same. Then if you are invested in it, you're like, but this one is good and this one is bad.
Yeah, and also opinions are different
Oh
depending
yeah.
on when you experienced it. So if you're watching something as it comes out and you're like listening to the weekly discussions,
Yeah.
so I have different opinions on the MCU because I was watching it since Iron Man,
Uh-huh.
and I can put my experience of waiting for each film and seeing how each film influenced the next one into it. Whereas someone watching things differently or out of order won't get that same experience.
Yeah.
Um, and since we're watching this years, oh my, almost 15 years, 16 years later, and you weren't around to listen to the discussion, and we're not
Uh-huh.
really engaging in as much fan content other than the scraps that I send you from time to time.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, it's a different experience than people would be having. And even like when I'm watching a show that I like, I actually tend to avoid like
sure.
episode discussions just because I find they change the way that I watch stuff in a way that I don't particularly like. The most recent season of White Lotus, I would after the episodes because the episodes are like big and dramatic and there's always something to talk about. So I'd go on to discussion boards and then it would just be like everyone's just complaining about the show and I'm liking the show as much as all of the previous seasons
Hmm.
and I don't understand why everyone's complaining. So I'm just not gonna even bother.
Yeah, I've kind of like avoided watching any discussions about the new Star Wars stuff because
Yep. That I do the opposite. I avoid watching the new Star Wars stuff and then occasionally pop in for the discussions.
mm, yeah, that's that. Okay.
So Star Wars is the X who for me is the X who you like you scroll through their Instagram every once in a while just to see what's up.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Well, we've gone through season two seasons of the show. We've
Yeah.
seen the small evolution of how the fandom affects things. We are aware that the creator has left, and our story editor is moving on as well. And we know that the next season is half the length because we reached the end of its initial run in syndication, and none of the writers know that they're getting a season four, so this is potentially it.
Uh-huh.
Um, what are you thinking, or what are your thoughts or hopes for the next season?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I have hopes because I think at this point I know that the show is not necessarily going to do the types of things that I would maybe want to see from it.
What would you want to see from
I
it?
guess, yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what would. Part of it is just I want stuff that like is weird and interesting and exciting, and I don't know how to. I, or even just like I was thinking about this because I was reading ahead in the notes that like I would like to see an episode that's like focused on Big Mac
Hmm.
or like that kind of thing that's maybe a little bit off the beaten path.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of it is just like I think for me to really spark to the show in that way, it would have to be a different show. So that's just like that's why I'm like I don't know that I have any specific hopes. Maybe some more genre spoofs. Those are always fun. Or at least I like them.
I sometimes like them, depending on how the genre makes sense for what we're doing. Um, yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah, my expectation, I think we're going to see more leaning into fandom stuff, though still held back a bit.
yes, because I think at this point they've established a rule where the writers and creators cannot gain any inspiration from fandom work
Okay,
or
that's
get
smart.
any.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, if a fan comes up and say, "Hey, it'd be cool if you did this," they're not allowed to do that, which can sometimes be like, "Oh, damn, that was a really good idea. It's a shame we can't touch that."
Yeah.
So, um, but they do market research and be a little aware of like, okay, here's some base interest in that, which would which that's spoilers for something coming up relatively soon, but um yeah. uh so yeah, let's get into our list of writers for this season. We had six writers. So Ma Larson coming back with 7 episodes, including for the two-part premiere of this season. Megan McCarthy with 5 episodes, Cindy Morrow with 4 episodes, Amy Keating Rogers with 4 episodes, Charlotte Fullerton with 2 episodes and one story bio credits, and the new writer for this season, Meriwether Williams, with 4 episodes. So yeah, let's talk about our top three, bottom three of the episodes of this season.
Yeah. Once again, I feel like I said this for season one, and this is true for season two as well. These are not strongly held opinions by me.
Sure.
Um, yeah. Again, my experience of the show has been largely peaks at a 3.5 out of 5 stars and bottoms out at a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Maybe 2 for some of the episodes, but part of that is just I don't think the episodes are bad necessarily. I just there are things about them that annoy me. Um
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. We're
this
all
isn't yeah.
we're also not including the premieres and finales in this because their perspective for writing there is different from the rest of the show.
Yeah. But yeah, my number 1 episode for the season is Luna Eclipsed. Um yeah, I enjoyed seeing this returning character, and I thought they went about it in a very good way. Then my number 2 is Sweet and Elite. Fun rarity episode. I considered a couple other episodes for this spot. Again, I'm not like I don't have a super strong opinion here, but that this is the one that while I was putting it together popped out. And then yeah, my number 3 is the super speedy cider squeezy 3000. I think that's the full title.
6,000. It's
6,000.
6,000. Yeah.
9,000. Is it over 9,000?
Not quite. It's 6,000. Just barely. Like there you have like 2 Larson episodes and 1 McCarthy episode.
Uh-huh. Which I
Mm.
mean, like percentage wise, those are the two writers with the most episodes. So
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah. Yeah, for me my top 3 is Lesson 0, which I like this one a lot. I mentioned that. when we did that episode. I liked Twilight going crazy. I love the expressive animation, and I think that the comedy was lots of fun. My second one is It's About Time. I love time travel stuff, so like that, especially now since I think about time travel a lot. It's especially fun to think about, and it's very simple time travel stuff. And my third one is May the Best Pet Win. It's got a fun musical number, and just the idea of Rainbow Dash getting a pet at the end is like so much fun. So there are my favorite writers were McCarthy, Larson, and Charlotte Fullerton.
Yeah, I almost had It's About Time on my list, but then I did swap it out for something. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
lesson zero I also liked. May the best pet win. Did it really do it for me? But I I didn't dislike it. It's not on my
Yeah,
worst. My worst are um baby cakes. Just yeah, it's a lot of
yeah,
babies crying.
yeah.
Hearts and Hooves Day. That one is like again. I didn't hate this episode. It's just like it didn't really. It was interesting, but not in a way that I particularly sparked to. And then Family Appreciation Day. There were like any of those could swap out for basically any of the CMC episodes and
Sure.
be accurate,
Yeah.
except for the newspaper one. That one was a little bit better. But
I mean, this list isn't surprising at all, knowing you don't care for um, children based things or children protagonists. So baby cakes makes sense because you're it's just babysitting antics, and of course we mentioned throughout the season and our also in our last season review that the CMC aren't necessarily your favorite protagonists, but
yeah,
it still makes me sad to see those episodes here because those are some fun ones. Um, and there you have Charlotte Fulton, Megan McCarthy, and Cindy Morrow for those three. Uh, my bottom three, the only one that I could say consistently that I don't fully like is the Mysterious Mare-de-Well. I can enjoy it more now because I can look past how the superhero genre doesn't make much sense in this. Um, but they do a good job at representing the genre. But yeah, I do have issues with some of the writing, with how they approach the reasons why and such. Then I also have Baby Cakes. I don't dislike it, but it's mostly just babysitting antics, and that's not always the most fun to rewatch. And lastly, I have Dragon Quest. You could put several other episodes here that are not bad, not great. They're just okay. It's one that I can just skip. There's really only like one or two gags here that I really enjoy. The rest is just like okay. Plus, I'm not really a big fan of the teenage dragons, so there's that. So with this, the writers for my bottom three were two episodes by Meriwether Williams and one by Charlotte Fullerton. Yeah, I don't think I particularly enjoy Meriwether's writing style because
okay,
consistently they're towards the lower end of my enjoyment. And it's just a mixed bag. Like, they're not terrible, they're just not my style. And some people have pointed out that their style is a bit more cynical, and
okay,
the character's a lot more aggressive and angry at points, which might throw them off at some points. So, yeah,
yeah. That to me is like because both of her episodes that you have here, I thought were completely fine. Um, I might have even put one or two of them on my top. I guess yeah, the Dragon Quest one maybe less so, but I like the superhero one.
sure, I know,
Yeah,
I know. So here's a quick little thing that I forgot to mention at the Hearts and Hooves Day episode, but like here's like a blink and you miss it moment during the song where they're like pointing out different things. It's like, oh, this one's too young, this one's too old. During the "this one's too old" line, we see Sweetie Belle uh crash a funeral. It looks like a pony funeral,
yeah.
um,
I
which
had
is just
missed that.
it's such a wild out there thing that's like, oh, pony funeral. Nobody noticed. It's so easy to not notice it that it's like, huh, interesting. I wonder what this is about. Who is that? With this season, looking at the songs, we have 15 songs. So that's Find a Pet, Becoming Popular, The Heart Carol, Happy Monthversary, Piggy Dance, The Flim Flam Brothers, The Perfect Stallion, Smile Song, Cranky Doodle Donkey, Welcome Song, Cranky Doodle Joy, BBBFF, This Day Aria, Part 1 and Part 2, and Love is in Bloom. Uh, the more notable ones that fans enjoy are This Day Aria Part 1, the Smile Song, the Fim Flam Brothers, and Find a Pet. Uh, this is also, I think, the final season to include Pinky Jingles. So from this
Okay.
point on, it's more traditional songs.
I know you like those. I don't have any affinity for them, so I don't know that I'll miss them.
Yeah. Any songs that you enjoyed from this season that catch your ear?
Yeah, the Flim Flam Brothers song, that is a big part of the reason that was on my top of the season. And yeah, the This Day aria, that was pretty good. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of these titles are, I'm trying to figure out what they even are. So if they didn't stick in my head that much, then yeah, I don't know that I can claim that I really enjoyed them. Not that I didn't enjoy them either, because they didn't stay in my head negatively either.
Yeah. Going over to the notable characters that appear in this season, I'm just going to point out the notable new characters. So we start off with Discord, the new villain who is voiced by John Delancey. Everybody loves John Delancey because of Q from Star Trek. Um, a fan favorite villain and just character overall. Uh, then we got Princess Luna, who gets a first major redesign here of the
Yeah.
show. So she gets like a darker, cooler palette. She's like grown taller. Her hair, it's all wavy now. Honestly, this is like so dope. I love this look.
Yeah, it's a good look.
You can imagine like all the artists looking at this and being like, "Oh yes, I'm gonna draw all the fan art with this almost goth look here." Um, yeah. Tank, of course, the new pet for this season, the last of the main six pets.
We
That's
haven't
really
seen many of much of the pets this season.
no. The pets maybe appear once a season, but
Okay.
like the second half of the show, we forget they exist, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not the most important parts, but we acknowledge that they exist. Daring Do, the new book that Rainbow Dash started reading, which is just kind of like a recolor of Rainbow Dash, the fun Indiana Jones adventure type.
Uh huh.
Yep. And then the Flim Flam brothers from that episode, they're the fun like what type of thing did you describe them as? The huckster.
Hucksters, yes.
Yeah, the hucksters. Uh, Garble, who I just put him here for like Teenage Dragon in
Okay.
general. So yeah. Then Button Mash is the one background pony I have included here, um, who it became popular because of a fan animation more than people noticed him. Uh, then here's a new thing: the Cake Twins. So the Cakes had twins. I assume that was made because they were doing a baby toy line, so we needed to give some characters some children. So having the Cakes have twins made sense, I
Uh huh.
suppose. But they're they're a unicorn and a Pegasus. Um, then like the final three came straight from the finale. So we got Shining Armor, which is Twilight's brother. Then we got Princess Cadence, who is the sister-in-law now. Another Princess Alicorn, great for the toys. And lastly, we got Queen Chrysalis, our new villain from the finale that introduced the changeling species, which I know artists loved getting this new cool looking antagonist thing.
Uh
You
huh.
can imagine that they were like thinking like, oh, what kind of world do they live in? Where do they live? And so they start drawing things. Music goes crazy, trying to like come up with stuff. Fun times. But going into some unused episode concepts of this season, a note is that all of these that we're going to mention here were written by Lauren Faust and Robert Zetti. These are episodes that did not make the cut. Um, so, yeah, the first unused episode we have here is Smothered Brother, or Oh Brother. And here is the summarized summary of this story. So, after Big Macintosh, who has been constantly taken advantage of by his family, suddenly leaves the farm, the rest of the Apple family declare that they don't need him in order to get work done around the farm. After attempting and struggling to complete their chores, they realize how important Big Mac is to the labor of the farm. Big Mac returns, revealing that he had just left the farm to run errands instead of abandoning his family. So Applejack, Apple Bloom, and Granny Smith apologize for undervaluing him and taking him for granted. This episode was first planned on August 6th of 2010, then rejected 5 days later on August 11th. It was restated as Oh Brother on September 2010, then rejected again 4 days later, and on September 24th. And it was most likely replaced by Family Appreciation Day on September 30th, so that makes sense. I can maybe see why this one didn't go through. It would kind of like undermine Applejack and the rest of the Apple family if it's like they can't do much without the big brother.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be nice to get an episode about him.
Next up, we have Jewel Thieves, and here's our summarized summary of that. So, Applejack, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Twilight travel to Canterlot using a magical teleportation jewel. That's interesting. While Twilight works on a research project, the others spend their time exploring Canterlot and its many shops. Rarity buys expensive fabrics, Applejack buys a special farm equipment, and Fluttershy gets a wife for Angel Bunny. Okay. The time in Canterlot was so much fun that Rarity, Applejack, and Fluttershy keep breaking into Twilight's house to steal teleportation jewels in order to take more trips to Canterlot. Twilight gets tired of the constant exploitation and confronts them. Eventually, they run into Celestia, who's tired of receiving letters from Pinkie Pie. That's fun. And it is revealed that the teleportation jewels are not rare and can be found in any street corner vendor. Also, Angel Bunny is now a father with a lot of children. Oh, okay. This episode was first planned on August 19, 2010, and was rejected on September 9th. I don't see the need for the jewels since Twilight practices teleportation anyway. So, yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to evaluate without actually seeing the episode. I mean, it could have been good. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, an episode about taking one's generosity could be one to do.
Uh-huh.
It's just the weird implication of just this magical teleportation jewel, which we never get in the show because Twilight can just teleport anyway. So
Uh-huh.
it seems like a weird inclusion to me. And lastly, we have Pip Speak. Here's our summary of this. Pip, Squeak, and Fluttershy both like to volunteer at the Ponyville vet when a big spider is accidentally set loose by Spike. Pip is able to save the day by getting it back into its cage. Through a misunderstanding, Spike gets all the credit while both Pip and Fluttershy are too shy to correct it. That's interesting. Spike uses Pip's abilities on different bug-related adventures with the disapproval of Fluttershy. And after getting showered in praise, Spike's ego gets to his head. Of course it does. Okay, that makes sense. One day, a giant spider terrorizes Ponyville, and Pip is the only one capable of stopping it. And the truth of Spike's bug-related escapades are revealed, and Pip finally gets the credit he deserves. This episode was first planned on September 2010, and it was ejected only 4 days later on September 24. I can see elements of this being turned into that one Apple Bloom episode with the cutie mark, because that's sort of
Okay.
similar
Yeah.
about truth and lying.
Uh huh.
It's interesting. Pitsqueak really has the one prominent appearance in the Luna episode, so seeing that they were planning another one is interesting because he kind of takes a back seat for quite a long time.
Uh huh.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I guess probably the reason they rejected this, I would guess, is the spider thing, just because that's a very common.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It's the thing is, all of these sound good on paper, but that's like because we haven't seen the episode, so who knows how it would have actually turned out had they made it. That's the thing I have when people talk about the Yodorovsky's Dune. It's like it only sounds good because he didn't make it. If he had made it, it would have been, once something has been made, it is less exciting than when it hasn't been made. Um,
Sure.
so, yeah, that's just I don't know. I don't know that any of these unused episodes would have been significantly better than any of the episodes that they did make. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I think, yeah, I kind of prefer the stuff that they did make eventually. I don't love the one with the Apple family because having them be not great at their stuff that they should be great at is an odd choice.
uh-huh,
And it kind of makes all the women incompetent, it seems. So I'm glad they didn't go that route. Um, I can somewhat see why the crystal one wasn't done, because that just seems like a choice to do with the crystals. I don't know. Plus, like the bunny joke was probably pushing things as well.
okay,
Um, and then this third one, maybe it's the spider thing.
yeah, that would,
Maybe
I
it
guess.
was too similar to a different idea that they were working with. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, that's that's what we got for this season. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. We're Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram and Tumblr, Binging Barbie on Blue Sky and Serialized, and Binging Barbie, a Barbie movie podcast on Letterboxd. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a 5-star review and go join our Patreon at patreon.com/, Binging Barbie Podcast. We will be continuing on to season 3. At least I hope so, unless we're stopping the series right now and never returning to it. What do
That's
you
not
think,
the
Jake?
plan. That's not the
That's
plan.
okay. It's not the plan. We'd have to rearrange our schedule anyway if we did that. Um, all right. So yes, we should be continuing on to season 3 unless something disastrous happens. And until then, keep watch because something is returning.
Oh,
Ooh.
you didn't
Bye.
think this was the end of the story, did you? Oh wait, that's Descendants. Oh no.
Oh, wrong series.
Bye, ponies.